So welcome everyone to the first ever live stream GenPool Spotlight series. The GenPool Spotlight series is done by GenerEOS, and we have a special guest, Michael Blu of Uplift.Art. Yeah, if you haven't figured it out by now, was there an echo? Was that me?
Oh, no, that was me. Sorry.
no, I've become iconic on our channel actually for having the YouTube video playing in the background. So it's like my secret night of horrors. I've always freaked out about that. If you haven't figured it out, I'm a part of the GenerEOS team doing some PR stuff for them, and really great team. And we're running the GenerEOS plot in the Uplift World game, which mBlu is also a co-founder of. We're here today to talk about his initial project of art, Uplift.Art, and how it all came about. We basically, on this blog series, interview various dApps, various block producers, various people in the Eosio and various EOS space. And we talk to them about what got them started, why they're here, what got them into blockchain. And we're actually really super excited about this one with you, mBlu. So I might have butchered that introduction, but if you want to quickly introduce yourself, who are you? What do you want to say? And then we're going to actually jump into the Uplift World game, and we're going to put some gratitudes on the GenerEOS monument, and then we're going to go full on into this interview, which I'm super stoked about.
Sweet. Yeah. So, first off, mBlu is a GenerEOS fan. Generous, I love. I actually wrote a piece, which will be a digital vinyl called GenerEOS. So maybe we should do a collab with GenerEOS NFT collab. That'd be fun. It's a finished product. I just haven't actually gotten out there because we've got so much on our plate currently. But so mBlu, I'm very grateful to be here in the space. EOS.io, building a win-win-win economy, Uplift.Art, and like-minded projects like GenerEOS. I started in crypto 2012, fell down the rabbit hole with Bitcoin. I read the Satoshi white paper and said, hey, this is a pretty cool thing. I thought it was a big experiment, and like the chances of it actually getting mainstream adoption was rather slim, but that didn't prevent me from investing in it back in the day. It's just a huge speculative play. But then when Ethereum came around, programmable money, smart contracts, that's what really, got me all into the crypto space. I said, okay, this is on, this is real. So I would say, I was just playing in the crypto space for a number of years, primarily as an investor, invested in, seems like probably hundreds of different crypto projects. Ran into Dan Larimer with BitShares and Steemit, and really fell in love with who he was as a thinker, technologist, and a human. When he announced EOS, I was all in on that idea. Literally liquidated probably I did. I liquidated my entire Ethereum stack and went all into EOS. And I still think that is the smart play, even though it's taking longer to play out. But irregardless, it took me full on into the EOS ecosystem, to where I have met probably the most incredible humans of my life, right? In the EOS.io ecosystem, from developers to marketers to just, enthusiastic, community members. It's just a great ecosystem. It's a great space. It's a beautiful vision, in my opinion. This decentralized world of EOSIO chains that'll eventually be fully IBC'd, and that's where the true decentralization comes in. I believe is when we have this huge, beautiful EOSIO network, from Proton to Wax to Boss to EOS to you name it, UOS, Proton, all IBC'd, and easily move around the space from tokens to NFTs. To if you don't like the governance on one chain, you usually move over to the next village, so to speak. So
I love you, man. Like, we've been working together for a long time, but some things never change. It's great, like, just listening to you introduce yourself, because it's never short. But like, it's all brilliant, right? And I totally agree. Like, I think, like, this ecosystem, like, I disagree with one thing, and one thing only, and that's the fact that, like, I'm kind of hoping that it doesn't, moon too soon, because I'd kind of like to accumulate a little bit more wax. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah. No, I get it, and it's funny. Okay, mBlu is grateful for Dan Larimer. Let's put that up there.
Wow. Interesting. LA, because I have no idea how to spell
LAR
RIMER.
Larimer. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Dan Larimer.
Yeah. So he he's the spark, right? For as much FUD as that poor man gets, and I without doubt know that he's a good human and a good man, a big thinker. His heart is in the right place. He truly does want to bring solutions to the world that frees us. So I'm totally down with that, and I'll take up arms against anybody that tries to throw him under the bus. He is human, so I venture to say he's made mistakes in his life, but overall, he's just an excellent human being with a heart of gold and truly golden intentions. So I know that at a soul level. So I am very grateful for that man, for the spark of EOS, for the spark of EOSIO, and everything that's come about from it. The developers that have come in and innovated and offered tools and just dynamic energy infused into this ecosystem. And again, I've met some of the greatest human beings in my life just because of embarking in this whole EOSIO journey, right? And we wouldn't be here with Uplift.Art or the Uplift World or Legend Art without that initial spark.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a really good point, right? Like, and it's really interesting to see what's happening in the community these days. Shout out to one of our project members. They're from the beginning one of the staples in the EOS space, in my opinion, Data Junkie, who we all know is just all over the place from EOS Watchdogs. He's been working closely with Dan recently on this new Eden OS, and I think, like, people are starting to realize, like what you said, is getting really interesting, and things are changing. And we had a little bit off topic, but I like it. Again, that's why I love you. We had this conversation that, like, not so long ago. It could have been, yesterday, because time is really weird in crypto, you and I, but it was like, you mentioned to me, it wasn't so long ago that, like, I was the crazy guy in the family. And now I'm like the genius, like the person who can, like, see the future. And I think I parallel that to Dan, right? Like, he saw that back in the days of Satoshi, right? Like, he was on those threads, he was talking about it. He understood the you always understand the problems of somebody else, but you don't necessarily understand the problems of your own, right? And that's kind of what happened to Block One and EOS. But you know, despite all the fun and all the hate that he got, he was true to his word. You know, he didn't abandon the EOS community. He might not have went about things in the right way, but he's back. He's in the community in full fashion. And I think you're right. I think, you know, banking on that technology, banking on all of those things is going to be amazing. So
yeah, you know, and I think it's a script that just couldn't be written better, in my opinion. And we're still watching it play out. But him leaving Block One at first, when I first heard that, I was like in shock, right? But as I but I didn't have an immediate judgment. Like I didn't have an immediate like I wasn't like bashing him, right? I was like, huh, okay, so what's happening here, right? And because for the longest time, I didn't feel his fit, just kind of knowing him, who he is as a human, right? And his philosophies. Now I've read a lot of his writings, so I feel like I know him, right?
right.
But he just never felt like Block One with this, corporate, 12 lawyer strategy was the right fit for him, right? I had this feeling for a long time. So for him stepping out of Block One, it just like, okay, all right, that kind of makes sense. And let's see what this plays out. And now that he's coming back in playing with the EOS community with his Eden OS, which I'm very excited about, and plus also his non-blockchain solution for communication, I have this feeling that there's going to be this beautiful marriage between, maybe not direct, but indirect marriage between this compliant regulatory blockchain environment that's playing with the Citibanks of the world, right? And this truly decentralized world that Dan Larimer is really passionate about. So I think it's going to be, the first of its kind, just as EOSIO is the first of its kind blockchain solution. But I think what he's bringing now with Eden and his, I think it's called GenerEOS or something like that. The communications component that's decentralized, but it's not blockchain. I'm still kind of not clear on that. But I have this feeling that something really beautiful is merging that is first of its kind in the space. And at some point in the future, everybody that's still on board the EOS and the EOSIO train are going to be looked at as, visionaries, and like your family's now seeing you as the man, right? So I think once this all comes together, everybody that held on to their bags and stayed strong and true are going to come out looking pretty cool.
Yeah, I think. I think it's interesting, so I actually, when I first met you, this is kind of interesting little segue, and we might get back to this as well. But when I first met you, it was on your YouTube channel. And I remember like you kind of driving around the car and like sitting in your car and really like hammering home the fact that like, you loved EOS and you loved EOSIO. And this is before you were really known like in the community. And I remember you doing a video like where you talked about, how somebody basically told you, I think it was a mutual friend of ours, if I'm not mistaken, it might've been actually Matt Koska, that like basically told you that you should be doing this full time because you were really good in front of the camera. And that's when you kind of started your YouTube, like, your YouTube channel. And that's when I met you. And around that same time, you were doing something with Uplift Nation, which, was essentially the precursor to Uplift.Art. So yeah, I think that's a really interesting story. But before we get into that, I'm just kind of curious, like, I've had this conversation 3 times today, actually, and it's always really interesting to see where people stand on this side of things. So for you personally, I've heard this story 100 times, and it's a super long story, and it's super interesting. So whatever details you want to give are great, because I got nowhere to be. Apparently, I live on YouTube now. But like, what was it about blockchain that got you interested, and like how did your transition into crypto like begin as mBlu the person? you know?
I was a owner of a precious metal brokerage, national precious metal brokerage for about a decade. So I was all about hard money. If you can't touch it, you don't own it. One of my clients asked me about Bitcoin, and this is back in 2011 or 2012, early. I was, a big zero hedge reader. And so everybody on zero hedge just bashed Bitcoin. I didn't know anything about it other than it was this like internet money thing, right? Back then it was just like, my scam alert filters were on. And so I told him basically, I wouldn't touch it. And it sounds like, a good way to lose money, right? So he didn't listen to my advice, and he went ahead and bought Bitcoin. Fortunately, he didn't listen to me. And then a couple months later, I ended up reading this Satoshi white paper. It kept coming in front of me, this Bitcoin, right? Being in the gold and silver market, it's kind of like a competing investment class, right? So you always got to look at what the newfangled toy is out there that's maybe taking revenue away from the business, right? So I ended up diving down the Bitcoin rabbit hole and reading the Satoshi white paper. And by the end of it, I was just like, floored. I was like, this is pretty awesome, right? Still in the experiment stage. I didn't really think that it could, gain mass adoption, right? Because that's pretty far fetched. But I still thought that it was a great idea, and just had, I'm a very instinctual investor. And so it was right around the time when I was just pretty much done with the precious metal business anyways. And so I ended up selling the brokerage to my VP at the time. And then I invested in Bitcoin. And then I just kind of sat on it for a year and a half or so, and just kind of didn't really forget about it, but just didn't follow it, right? And then I was talking to a buddy, and I did this video that he only saw, and he was actually my music coach, right, and mentor. And so I sent him this like 5-minute video as an intention statement. I'm really into, stating my intention every day, speaking it out there. I believe everything is energy in motion, and I like to speak what I want into existence. So I state my intentions, and I did this intention statement on video, and I sent it to him. So in this video, I mentioned I'm stating my intention into the ether, right? And so he's the only guy that I really know that would kind of get the crazy zany mBlu stuff. And so I sent him the video just because I knew he would appreciate it, right? He's one of the few that would probably have eyes for such a thing, right? So he, probably like an hour later, he responded. He goes, "Oh, dude, are you on the ether train?" Because I mentioned ether several times in the short video, and I go, "Ether train?" ? Like, what do you mean? And then he sends me a link to I think it was like the Ethereum Foundation website, or it was this is back in 2014, 15. And so he sent me a link to one of the earlier Ethereum websites, right? And I clicked on it and I started reading, and I go, "Oh, this is kind of like the Bitcoin thing, right? That I invested in and kind of was just holding on to and not really paying attention to." And so finally I went in and I logged in. I looked at the price of Bitcoin somewhere. I don't know where, but I was like, holy shit. It's like, this thing has moved. And so I was like all excited, like, whoa, like what? It's like, this has turned in like, whoa. I was like, I was rich.
And I mean, in a parallel universe, you were that guy that threw away your computer in the dumpster, right? Like that's how not paying attention you were to it, right?
Right, yeah. It's like, I knew I had it, but it was just like, this thing, and and then I said it was like this Bitcoin thing, and I had I'd like one of those earlier hardware wallets. I don't have it anymore, but anyways, so I was like, I had to dig through, like, where did I put that Bitcoin? Right? It's like, it's somewhere here. So I'm rumbling through everything and finally found it. And I go, shit, how do I use this thing again? It's like, okay, I had to like read the instructions again and figure it all out. And then I logged in and I go, oh shit, man. Whoa, I got Bitcoin. It's like I got Bitcoin. So it's like, woo. But then I looked at the Ethereum, and I was like, whoa, this is like next generation, right? So this is better, right? This is programmable money. Has, I learned about smart contracts, and it's like, whoa, you could do so much with this, right? So that's when my mind was just, and so then I sold, a good chunk of my Bitcoin for Ethereum, and boom, then, later on, the whole ICO boom started, looking at all those, fun projects, and got burned a few times, won a few times, and had a lot of fun, in that FOMO, 2017 bull market. But then I, earlier on, I was in BitShares early on, and Steam it early on. So I took those rides as well. And then again, when I found out about Dan Larimer, his project EOS, I was like, yeah, I mean, that's the solution. That's the train I want to be on. So that's when I started, selling a lot of my holdings and getting into EOS.
Yeah, I mean, I've known you for a while, and I always thought it was interesting that you were like involved in Steam, or you were involved. Like BitShares makes sense to me a little bit, because like that's the path of the investor, and following, Dan through his journey, from Ethereum, and seeing that makes a lot of sense. But I thought, like, I always thought that was kind of interesting that you followed that trend through, but at the same time, you were on Steam, but you weren't really, not even sure if I like this word, quote unquote, a content creator at the time.
No, I wasn't. I don't even know if I actually ever posted anything. I was an investor. So I saw the value proposition of, social media on blockchain, right? So, and I'd already fallen in love with Dan Larimer's mind and vision. So, I would just invest in anything that he was working on. So I was never really an active Steemit user, but I was an investor. Looking back at that whole platform, and the power up, I don't even remember what it was called, but it was so confusing, these different things that you'd have to do, and power up type things, or I don't even know if it was called power up, but it was interesting ride. But part of the evolution, part of the knowledge gathering component of this, young space, and it's funny, we've been calling it this emerging young space Wild West forever now. And we're still calling it that, right? It's like, we're just never going to grow up.
Hey, mBlu, I have a non-scripted question for you. Do you have a favorite number?
369.
That complicates things. Okay. I like.
It could be 3, 6, or 9. Let's take 9.
Sure.
Or
okay.
3.
Okay, cool. If we get, share the link out. If we get 9 people in the chat, we're gonna give away some cool some cool NFTs. We'll let you guys start dropping links to your Wax accounts, and we'll give these away. mBlu and I have some on some personal projects that we can give away. So it's like, let's put that out there. So because I want to get more live people in here, because I'm just realizing that like our scripted questions are awesome, but like we with you and my journey with you, this is totally not a scripted world, and we're going to go through the scripted questions, but I think like your journey is completely unscripted, and I like that about that. So thank you for all the people who are in here. at this time. But like, yeah, I want to get other people's thoughts as well. So like the next question that I do have scripted actually is we already kind of talked about it a little bit, but like a couple of years ago, maybe 3 years ago now, I alluded to this earlier when you first took your journey into the YouTube channel, and you were favorable towards EOS and the EOS blockchains, and you just kind of mentioned that with Dan Larimer and Steam and what he was doing with BitShares at the time, and you just saw like EOS as the next evolution towards what blockchain could and should be, and I'm just kind of curious, like I think everyone can kind of understand, like even if you don't like EOS, you can kind of understand the value proposition or the value add that Ethereum had over Bitcoin, right? Like that was the ability to be able to go in and create smart contracts, which didn't really exist in the Bitcoin world, right? And we're seeing the public kind of, that doesn't really know that much about crypto up until recently, until the recent price movement, seeing the value in that, right? But like Blu, you and I both kind of know that like on a technical level, like right now what exists, EOS blows that out of the water. And you were interested in EOS, pre-ICO era, like pre all of this stuff. So I'm just kind of curious, like, what was it about EOS in particular that kind of drew you in? Because like you're coming from this kind of like gold, silver brokerage market where you're looking at tangible assets and you're able to like touch them and feel them. And you're interested in Ethereum because of smart contracts, but then you have this new blockchain that provides all of these promises that must have drawn you in. And I'm kind of curious what that would be.
Well, first of all, it was just, my following of Dan Larimer since the beginning, and really reading and listening to him. I mean, I've watched every interview, every article. I've read a lot of the books from his book, his public book library, like recommendations. I've interviewed his father, Stan Larimer, 3 or 4 times.
Great interviews, by the way. Like if you're not subscribed to mBlu's YouTube channel, go back and like search on that channel for Stan Larimer. Those were some of my favorite interviews. The ones that you guys talked about, like what blockchain could be in space or in international waters, like just absolute genius when it comes to like tech perspective, really.
Yeah. So I'm really a team player, vision, kind of investor guy, right? So I really need to feel good about the people behind a project, and just feeling like I know the Larimers, like I do. And I've never had dinner with Dan Larimer, right? Like I'm not like his, hey bud, hey, come over for barbecue, right? So
this say is, that 10 times really quickly. I've never had dinner with Dan Larimer.
My appreciation from him is solely just off of my research of him, and and my talking with his father, right? So I do believe that he is one of the geniuses in the crypto space. On top of it, he's a good human with really good ideals and with a real sincere desire to create a legacy of just goodwill and freedom. All those things I can support and I want to support. So that was probably the primary. The second is actually just looking and evaluating, in the early days, evaluating the tech idea, right, and vision of free and instant transactions, which is what's needed in order to have mass adoption, in my opinion, because we live in this instant world, right? I mean, if you're living in the Western world, you can order something on Amazon and have it that afternoon, right? Email is instant. Information is instant. Money should be, as free and as instant as email. And you can do that Almost, right? It's getting pretty close. And some wallets will makes it this easy where especially Wax Cloud Wallet is making it super easy. And yeah, again, that's a big rabbit hole. There's lots of decentralized maximalists that will poke holes in the Wax Cloud Wallet all day long. But from a user perspective and from a mass adoption perspective, it's a brilliant piece of work, right? Because
can I poke holes in the Wax Cloud wallet?
you can.
Like seriously, can I do that right now? Because I think you bring up a really valid point that I want to say, right? Like blockchain isn't developed for, apparently I'm gonna get to do this by myself. So I love how you bring the dog on stream. It's like, oh yeah, poke your holes now, Jimmy B.
I'm all blurry. There we go.
No, I think like it's a really interesting point that you bring up, and I just really want to hone in on this, because here's the thing, right? Like, yes, it's not decentralized. Yes, you're using a social login. Yes, somebody could hack your Google account. But okay, number one, the majority of the world isn't ready to like accept responsibility for their own finances. Number two, if you get hacked because somebody hacked your Google Cloud wallet, that's kind of your fault, not Wax's fault. Like the Wax Cloud wallet is one of the most brilliant things that has ever happened to crypto. Like even in EOSIO, right? Like it made EOSIO onboarding possible for the masses, right? And sorry, obviously I have bias. We have bias. All of us in here have bias. But this is actually like a really big thing to me, like because like my mom could probably and might probably hashtag shameless plug with relevance have signed up for the legend.art email list, because like there's some pretty cool stuff coming, which we're going to talk about a little bit later in the stream. Maybe I don't know, it's not for me to say, but like this makes it possible, right? Like everyone has a Google account, everyone can do this. Like you always do, mBlu. You get me really excited, and then we get off topic. But I just wanted to like shout out the praise to that. Like the Wax Cloud wallet, you're right, is one of the best things to ever happen in the crypto space. Like Engine is cool. They're doing some really cool things. Ethereum is innovative. Like there's lots of DeFi stuff going on. There's some new chains that are popping up that are doing awesome things with various projects. But like Wax is the place to be. Like there is a wax on, but there is no wax off. Worst
right.
ever. Like,
yeah, I mean, and I mean, I was in the Wax Cloud wallet yesterday, and just really, because usually I'm just in and out of it, right? And I actually just took some time with it yesterday. I mean, there's DeFi in there. There's cross chain from Wax to Ethereum. I'm not sure what they're calling it, but so you can move Eosio tokens from Eosio to the Ethereum chain and back, right? They've got in-game currency, I mean, in-wallet currency buying, NFTs, dApps. I mean, the functionality and the layout of it is like nothing I've seen in the space. And then you can transact instantly, right, with no transaction fees. But so anyways, it's just that's what's needed for mass adoption. Is exactly what Wax is doing, Wax Cloud Wallet. That's all because of the architecture of Eosio enabling this sort of behavior, right? So the architecture is what's fundamentally important in order to onboard the world. And what I'm really excited about with EOS is this profile that's coming out here, hopefully any day. And then what's going on was it Citibank and their what is it, LAC chain, the LAC chain, which is built on EOSIO. But what I see coming is they've got the Profi, which is going to be the decentralized compliant decentralized finance on EOS, which the Citibanks and Goldman Sachs and the like are going to be plugging into on probably their own EOSIO sister chains, so that they can probably have private transactions as well as put public information on the public chain, right? But also tapping into the DeFi world through a Profi. So I just feel like this tsunami of amazingness coming down the pipeline. And there's a lot of people that'll say, the evil banks are, co-opting the blockchain space. Well, I knew that from the beginning. There's no way that, they're going to walk away from the greatest, technology of the century, right? They're going to try to leverage it to the best they can. But the cool thing is that there's going to be so much more that's going to be open source and able for the guys like you and I and independent auditing agencies to be able to audit things that we couldn't audit before in the past. So it's a step above where we're currently at the existing paradigm of these closed banks where nothing is auditable. Where in the future, there's still going to be a lot of private transactions happening, but there's going to be so much more on-chain. So it's just going to level the playing field, and I just feel like it's a step up for humanity. And and Maverick totally agrees with everything I just said, by the way.
It's almost like I sent you I think I just have to say that this is totally untrue, 100% untrue, but some of it's true. It's almost like I sent you the questions in advance and then you prepared a script, which I did send you the questions in advance, but like mBlu is not the scripted type of person. And it's like hilarious because a good friend of ours, who I happen to do a live cast with daily, taught me the meaning of kismet. So let's just move on with that. So the next question, it's mBlu. I've known you for a long time, and I've known you long enough to know that you don't script shit. So this is. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on this channel. But anyway, like this is blowing my mind right now. Where do you see the larger blockchain space, and particularly the EOS and Eosio ecosystem, like 5 and 10 years from now? And I think like you pretty much answered like 99% of that. Like with that last answer, and this is what I think is really interesting for me. Is like we are, as fans in this space of this technology, led to go towards that direction. I mean, if you really look under the hood of what's happening in the Eosio tech stack space, you like you said, you can't deny the fact that it's amazing, brilliant, ahead of its time, applicable technology that everyone could use, right? And I mean, what's interesting, sorry, one more thing. What's interesting to me is like you used to be the biggest EOS advocate of all time, which I think I didn't even read the next question, but I'm going to assume that like we're on that kind of wavelength that things seem to be working themselves out, which is good for me because like this is, like my 4th live show in a row. It's really interesting that like for me, you still love Dan Larmer and you still love Wax. Sorry, you still love Dan Larmer and you still love EOS, but like you have essentially now completely ported towards Wax for the time being. However, I do know that you're quite an advocate of Ultra and EOS as well, and you still really like those old blockchains. But I'm gonna rephrase.
Well, for the record. My focus has been on Wax, right? Because I'm building organizations on the Wax blockchain, but I still have, investments in EOS, BOSS, Telos, Proton. I mean, I'm all in on EOSIO. So it's like I hung my hat on Wax to build on because it's it was really purpose built and focused on NFTs from the start, led by a remarkable team that understands digital assets intimately because of Opskins, and they understand payments very well, global payments very well. So I had to look at the team behind it, which they're an exceptional team. William Quigley, who I've had the pleasure of talking to on occasion, is a brilliant human being. I mean, my God, I mean, he's freaking amazing. So I've had some intimate conversations with him, and he's blown my mind. So they've got the business savvy. They understand the value of digital assets. They understand the NFT game. They're set up and ripe for this space. So it just made all the sense in the world to actually build the businesses on Wax, right? And one that's going to be launched here soon is Legend.Art. We've just got a little bit of a splash page, but big things coming. Something that we've been building for 10 months or so. But anyways, I digress. So I love the whole EOSIO ecosystem, the innovation, the people, the collaboration, the innovation that happens over on Boss can be accepted on Proton, or what the innovations on Proton can be accepted and used on Wax. And, they kind of take the best of the best, right? From everybody. And eventually what's going to happen is this beautiful IB network where it's just all one big happy family. You've got the different states, right? You've got the state of Proton, you got the state of Wax, you got the state of Boss, but it's the whole EOS nation, right? And it's, it looks more kind of separate and more, different camps. Like I'm in the Proton camp, I'm in the Telos camp, I'm in the Wax camp. But eventually it's going to be one big nation, right? And it's just going to take a little bit more time for that to be fleshed out and to be actually seamless. But it's coming in a bold, beautiful way. And like you said, what do I see for the future of EOS? It's really the future of EOSIO. And it's this global, decentralized network, right? We've got this Eden EOS just blossoming, right? Which is going to add a whole nother layer of just goodness and decentralization to the mix that we haven't seen yet, right? So it's a new solution that's coming about, and this is going to send, ramifications, ripples through the entire crypto space once the money starts really coming into EOS, into Wax, because I think EOS and Wax are going to be, it's hard to say because there's so much goodness happening on all of those projects, from Telos to Proton to Boss to Ultra, Uos that I really like as well. So it's really hard to know which one is going to, move up the fastest, right? And get and kind of get the claim to fame. But I do believe that EOS and Wax may be positioned to be those first moonshots of significance, to where people from the other camps, such as Ethereum and ADA and all the DOT and all those, start looking over going, what the hell is going on over there? And they start learning the truth of the matter, right? All this FUD, all these fudded Cointelegraph articles over the years, throwing EOS under the bus and calling it names and calling it the dirty stepchild. And, once the truth comes out, like, oh shit, why is Google a block producer on EOS? Why is Citibank using EOSIO? Why is Goldman Sachs coming into the mix in the EOS profile? And once
Google Cloud, like, and this isn't like your normal like 2017 like hype cycle shit. This is like Google Cloud publishing their own article on their own platform, telling you why they're using EOSIO. Like,
right.
That's like,
yeah. So eventually, so once EOS and Wax and other EOSIO projects start to do that moonshot and to start, melting faces, so to speak, that's when people are going to really start to dig into the true details and the real facts behind the matter. And that's when the narrative is going to shift, right? And then they're going to see the brilliance of Eden OS, and the true I guess the true opportunity of decentralization within the ecosystem, which will ultimately come with all of these different projects coming together under IBC, where we have this beautiful Eosio network, where the big liquidity chain will most doubtedly always be EOS. However, with the amount of I guess recognition and the high level projects that are coming onto Wax, that could be a kind of like a an interesting scenario where we could see Wax completely just surprise the whole space. And you know so I wouldn't rule out that Wax could become a massive liquidity pool for the entire EOSI ecosystem, but then ultimately they're all going to win. Telos to Proton to Uos to Boss, they're all going to win, and I think in big ways. Once the crypto space actually wakes up to the truth of the fact and what's really possible over here and what the innovation is, most people are completely oblivious and blind to the magic that's happening in EOSIO. I mean, it's really bizarre. I mean, it's good for anybody who's investing at these ridiculously low prices, in my opinion, and this is not investment advice, but yeah, so a lot of things have mooned in crypto, but we haven't seen EOS or most of the EOSIO projects moon yet. But if I'm a betting man, and I guess I kind of am because I'm in crypto, I would personally bet on those, and I have. So
I mean, if I were on my own channel and not on this channel, like if I were, under the gun on my own channel, I would just say, you should probably buy EOS or any crypto because the value is going to go up. And like the idea is like, not the fact that this is not, financial advice. This is just like, own your own decisions. Like I think that's what early crypto investors did, right? Like they owned decisions, like early block producers, right? But like it's interesting to me because I put this out there on the GenerEOS Twitter and the GenerEOS Telegram channel, and I said like this is not coming from GenerEOS. This is my own personal opinion as Jimmy D. And my thing is like the biggest advantage to me, like you say, with EOSIO technology is EOS isn't perfect. It's not great, and there's a lot of problems. There's a lot of problems that weren't even anticipated. But the biggest issue with crypto, in my opinion, is to have this idea that like one blockchain can be the blockchain of them all, because it doesn't make sense. And this is where EOSIO, I think you kind of alluded to, shines. Right? Like you want a collectible blockchain, you want a blockchain for gaming, you want a blockchain for DeFi. It's ridiculous to think that one blockchain can handle all of those applications and be as efficient as possible, tailored towards those applications. And that, in my personal opinion, and it's funny because Ralph, our tech guy on the GenerEOS team, he basically said, no, like that's your personal opinion, but we kind of all hold that in the same regard, right? Mm-hmm. Like EOSIO technology is built for this adaptation. Going back to what you said earlier about Dan Larmer, like this was his idea. Like, I don't want to have one blockchain, right? And he gets a lot of FUD from this from the community because I can't say that, but like, let's pretend we're on the other channel. There's stupid investors that basically say like, you didn't make me money, and they didn't understand the technology behind it, right? Okay, back to the GenerEOS channel. That was on the other channel, what I just said. But like this is the thing, right? And like EOSIO technology is custom tailored towards specific purposes, like you mentioned, Wax, right? Like this is the whole ideology of what you did with Wax, because you saw the value in being able to easily onboard artists, being able to easily onboard people who are interested in the art, being able to easily onboard all of these things. And I think like I mentioned Ultra as well. Shameless plug with relevance. GenerEOS is a block producer of Ultra and Wax and many other blockchains. But like that, I think is going to be a game changer as well. In the same way that Wax is. And it's funny because like, you know, you and Blue as a friend were the first person to kind of like tell me about Ultra. And I had like, you know, some connections with the old Scatter guys who are now, you know, working in tandem with them. And I think their onboarding process is going to be amazing. Is it going to be amazing for DeFi? No. Is it going to be amazing for like is it going to be better than Wax? No, probably not, because Wax is, like you said, they have a giant head start. They have an amazing team that is working, you know, for, you know, interoperability, number one, like, you know, with the Ethereum bridge. Number two, like towards the collectible NFT space. Number three, with the IP rights that they have, it's absolutely insane. I mean, we're not even seeing what's happening. Like Garbage Pail Kids, like, yeah, I'm sorry people, but Garbage Pail Kids are really cool, but that's nothing compared to Major League Baseball, Marvel, Disney, all of these things that are coming. You know, I might even throw Legend Art in there again. Hashtag shameless plug with relevance. If you're not paying attention, just pay attention to it. At least go sign up for the waiting list. But yeah, like I think you got a really good point there, and I think Ultra is going to do it with gaming and stuff like that. I'm not supposed to be rambling on this channel. That's not what's supposed to be happening here. What I'm supposed to be doing is asking questions. So let's go back to that part of the show. Uplift.Art has been a pioneer in especially the NFT and collectible music space. So could you tell me, this is really difficult because like I kind of feel like we should almost quit and do like part 2 next week, because like these answers are freaking awesome. But yeah, like some like this, like, are we just gonna go until my morning? Because like I'm pretty sure if we have to talk about the accomplishments and the first of Uplift.Art on this channel, you know, we need to maybe, like, you know, play the My Bitcoin Bull remix video, take a washroom break, and come back refreshed. Because like seriously, like the things that Uplift.Art has done, and again, my bias, my 100% bias, but as much as you love GenerEOS, I think GenerEOS loves you, because like both projects are involved in the charity space, right? Like there's a GenPool, you know, proxy that is dedicated towards charity. And I think they're looking in your direction, and you're looking in their direction, and you're seeing that this mutual benefit of this space, and all of this that you've done and that they've done are coming from different directions. But what you've done is you've figured out a way to turn music and art and passion into charity, and that in a sense is accomplished with, you know, by itself. But if you look at all of the firsts and all of the things that Uplift.Art and you have done with Uplift.Art, there's like a really long list, like a gratitude wall list long that we saw earlier in the show. Like you guys created the first music video on the blockchain, right? And that's just the beginning. So very quickly, you know, what are the accomplishments that, like, what if people don't know what Uplift.Art has done, what would you tell them that you've done? And you're not the bragging type of person, but I'm going to make you brag.
Well, okay. So it first started out with My Bitcoin Bull, which is on Wax.Atomic Hub. So that was the first full-length music video on the blockchain. And then I put a short film on the blockchain. I think it's titled Dear Superstar. And I gifted that to Jesus, Merry Christmas. I'm trying to find it right now on the marketplace. You know, this might take a minute. I think it's called Dear Superstar. And I gifted that to Anders, who really loved it. That was a one of one. I'm looking on the market, see if I can find it there. He probably doesn't have it up for sale, but it might be out there. But oh, there it is. Yeah, it's called Dear Superstar V.
You can share the screen if you want. I can show it if you want to do that.
Oh, okay. Did I just hit the share button here?
Yeah, and I'll
screen.
People can see
Screen
it.
at least 2 mono screen sharing. Okay, so you share the whole dang screen, huh? Does it do the audio too?
It might depend on your setup, but yeah, I think if you played it and your setup is okay, then it
Okay,
will.
here I'm gonna play something else here, but I'll post the link to Dear Superstar in there in the chat comments. Can I'd have to log into that. I'm gonna here
No,
post.
it's okay.
I just posted into the chat.
We'll just
But,
leave it
do you see? Okay, you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's an idea. So this is a piece called GenerEOS, right? Have you seen this yet?
I haven't actually.
Okay, so this is and perhaps we can do a collab with GenerEOS and raise some money for good and see how much good we can create from this. Just throwing this out there's an idea, but it's do you mind if I play it? It's like 4 minutes long, but it really
like honestly, like mBlu, like it's funny because we were talking before the stream. Like I haven't worked this closely with you, like in the 4 years that I've known you, and we're working closely on all of these projects. And the collaboration between GenerEOS, in my opinion, and what Uplift.Art is doing is awesome. And this is why we wanted to do the first video stream ever. So yeah, I reckon we play this. And if you're good, like I'm good, like we can. I'm good to go for as long as you're okay.
Okay, let's just make sure that the audio comes through. So you give me a thumbs up if you can hear it. Okay.
Okay, sure. Perfect. Done. So, mBlu, can you hear me? Like, you need to unmute your mic. The problem is you.
Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm just.
So I think if you play it and you don't mute your mic, then we can hear it.
Oh, when I muted my mic, you couldn't hear it?
Yeah, because yeah. So if you play it and you don't mute your mic.
Okay, give me 1 second. I'm trying to find the right version here. Okay. I'm close, guys.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, do you want to sing for a second or?
Yeah, right. Like usually, like when
Where the heck is it?
I mean, if I was interviewing you and I asked you to sing.
Oops, here it is.
Of generous and being generous, or generous I am. That's
okay.
Yeah, you want to go back and start that over from the beginning, and then we'll play it.
Yeah, I just want to get the right one here.
Oh, it's okay. Well, while you do that, I'll tell you a story about my. So here's the thing, like I have a 1-year-old daughter, and now these days when she gets fussy, I sometimes try to sing her like Sesame Street songs. And I've been hanging out with like artists, like really legitimate artists in the space that like have been working with art, and like I decided to sing like a version of like 5 Little Ducks that Elmo does with a really cool kind of like undertone artist voice. And my wife looked at me and said, don't ever do that again, because I know you think it sounds cool, but it sounds really bad. That's the level of me singing. Well, you asked me to do that, so.
Dang it, I'm getting frustrated here, guys. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Like, I mean, do you want
to? Okay. Anyways, I'll go ahead and play the. It's.
That's what happens when you have a list of master tracks on your back end. I mean.
I know this is annoying, but what the hell happened to it?
I kind of actually like the fact that like this is happening to someone other than me. That's a really mean thing to say, but at the same time, like
You know, the thing is that
you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna try. Like I'm gonna try to either stop for a minute. That's what I'm gonna do, because I wanted to do this anyway. I wanted to play the Bitcoin Bull music video. So maybe I'll pull that up and I'll play it.
Okay, I got it. Sorry.
Okay, all right. So you got to share your screen again then.
Okay. Sorry, guys. Okay, share screen, share application, boom, boom. Okay, so now the one if we
I understand why you're doing this now. Okay, so there's a story here, and I'm actually gonna remove the application, and I'm gonna ask you guys to focus on what's on the background here, because what's on the background of the screen, and I could be totally wrong, but I don't think I am. It says digital vinyl, and I'm probably going to talk about this later. But this is mBlu's like characteristic, kind of new IP like system that he's been working on.
So this actual piece is going to be auctioned off by Wax. They're opening up an auction house. So this piece is for that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a digital vinyl variation of this, which is going to be badass. So this was developed before digital vinyl came about. But what I want to do is I want to do a digital vinyl variation of this that we could do a collab with if they're down with it. So let me go ahead and play this.
Can we call it digital vinyl cubed? Because it looks like it's like, a 3D square, and I kind of like it.
Okay, here we go. Ready?
Done.
So the sound was coming through okay?
Yeah. As long as you don't mute yourself, it'll be fine.
Okay. Oops.
Of generous and being generous, or generous I am. That's what I stand for. So if somebody's generous, right, that assumes that they are abundant in that which they're being generous with. So if they're being generous with kindness, they have an abundance of kindness. If they're being generous with their money, they have an abundance of money, or at least they feel like they can attract more. So therefore, they can be abundant, right? So I want to come from this generous frame of mind. Like, I am generous. That's what I want to tune myself to be. That's what I want to tune my community to be. Because if you have a generous community, what more do you want than that, right? Everybody being generous with each other, with their words, with their time, with their help, with their gold, right? Like, that's the world I want to live in, a generous, kind world.
That hits me square in my middle of my brain parts. The idea that we really focus in on that intention, and it comes kind of at an interesting time, right? Like I am now operating at probably past my personal sort of peak capacity, right? Time-wise, brain-wise, like I'm up on the board, I'm surfing this wave, going from one thing to the next, and I'm having to kind of evolve in real time, right? And I'm starting to feel it now a little bit, right? Just coming towards the south or whatever. And I just spent a few minutes kind of meditating in the living room, just kind of knelt down and just did it. I never do that, right? And then 10 minutes later, you're saying, hey, like, why don't we make music that is, about focusing on our intention? And that, to me, like, it's what I need, like that. It's the fuel that recenters everything and will allow me, I believe, to operate way past my personal limits, because we, just keep recreating that. It's funny, I always hate saying this, but it's true. Like, the spiritual fuel to keep moving forward. So yeah, I'm in and super excited about it.
So it just keeps kind of going on. But that's kind of it. That's called GenerEOS, spelt with a 9. GenerEOS. It's generous, but I use a 9 to in place of a G. But I think you're muted, Jimmy.
That's very that's very dead mouseian of you. Is it like I'm kind of curious about that, because like dead mouse is like the final S is a 5, right? And he was like one of the first major musicians to drop on Wax. So why do you spell it with a 9?
You know, my wife kind of fell down the Tesla, the scientist Tesla rabbit hole quite a ways back. And she came across, his fascination with numbers divisible by 3. And so 369 were Tesla's 3 of his favorite numbers. And he was actually hyper focused on 369. Sometimes he'd have to walk around the block 3 times, or check his door 3 times, just like it was one of these things. So it just became mine and Francesca's favorite number 2, because, why not? Right. And plus, what we learned about it, it was a good story. Right. So, 369 just kind of became our numbers. And so I use 3, 6, or 9 in a lot of the things that I do. So when I see a fun opportunity to use a 3, 6, or 9, and in this case, it was using a 9 as a G for generous.
Nice. Yeah, and it's funny because like when you said that before, you were like, I'm really like Corey, who was the other voice on that thing. If you don't know, Corey and I do a daily show, and we're both involved, in the capacity for Uplift.Art and the Uplift world and GenerEOS. So obviously, like we have the plot there, and like it's interesting to me because like I always think like he always gives me a hard time about leading people, but like when I'm leading people, I think I'm leading them, but like they have no idea what I'm talking about apparently. And like I was like give me your number. What's your favorite number? And like I was leading you to give me a number, like, like maybe 10, maybe 25, maybe, if we get this many live viewers, then like we're going to give away NFTs. And you were like 369. And I'm like, this time of day, there's no way we're going to get 369 viewers. And I really want to give away some free.
What's your favorite number, Blu? 21 million.
No, but I'll tell you what, mBlu, I've been dropping the ball, and here's what I'm going to do. Drop your addresses in the comments. mBlu has some NFTs from Crypto Rider to give away. I've got some NFTs from Crypto Rider to give away. But you know what I also have in my account, mBlu, that I could give away that like are really high level value? For the first, if you've already dropped your addresses in the account, you're golden. But for the first, on behalf of GenerEOS, for the first, I think maybe 7 or 8, I'm not sure, I got to double check that, but the first whatever addresses already went in and the ones to come after, I'm gonna drop. I still have some promo crates from the Tiamo art event that we haven't given out, and those, my friend, are worth big money right now on Atomic Assets. So
hey,
we're gonna drop those. You put your Wax account in there and I'll send those over to you.
Also to say, I know we're Corey is in big discussions with Our Planet, so there's a lot of exciting things happening with Our Planet and Uplift World, but also we're talking about the Series 1 can be staked in Our Planet, but we're talking about getting I guess everything Uplift.Art stakeable in Our Planet too. So those Tiamo things may become more limited as that kind of comes to fruition. But a big shout out to I Am, man.
I Am is awesome.
Yeah, I Am. Yeah, I love it. And he says, mBlu, I know your heart. That's why I go by I Am. 9 is the best we can be in physical form on a scale of 1 to 10, but we're not just physical. I get it. So I feel you, I Am. And, thanks for being here. I appreciate you.
Yeah, and I second that because I Am is on all of these casts. So this is, like, I've never actually done this with you and actually made you, like, it's usually you making me subscribe to the script, right? Jimmy, I'm trying to have a meeting. Stop getting off topic and annoying me. so so where are we?
Well, hey, FYI, I've got 11 minutes before I got to be at a very important meeting with some exceptional human beings. Not that you aren't, but I've promised that I'd be at this meeting. So I've got 11 minutes. Let's call it eight minutes so I can go get a glass of water.
Yeah, sorry.
Let's make it 8 minutes so I can pee and get a glass of water.
So I was just thinking about this. I think that we should just do a part 2, because we've got tons of stuff to go through, and like you've seen the scripted questions, and I think they all need to be answered. So I'm going to make the executive decision as the person with the signing YouTube powers. And I'm just going to say maybe in a week or two, we pick this up where it left off, and we do it again, because I think what we've gotten so far is golden, in my opinion. And again, hashtag shameless plug with relevance number 2. One of the reasons that I personally, Blu, love working for GenerEOS is I can't give too much away here, but my involvement in the space and what I do, and how I weave things together. And GenerEOS has always been so supportive of me, supporting you, and you have always been so supportive of GenerEOS, that I think this is a really great combination. So I think this is actually a good place to end segment 1 of this live stream, because you just showed that video, and the video is called GenerEOS, the in the Uplift world that you are a co-founder of, and I'm a big part of. We have a GenerEOS plot, which is called GenerEosity, or GenerEosity. I don't know how you name it. And there's a GenerEosity mountain that you can see from the 2D version. If you're up in the sky, and it's a mountain that is I built with my own hands, block by block. It's no cathedral, but it's freaking awesome. I'm just going to tell you that. And you guys all saw the wall, and so I think maybe it's a good time for us to leave it here. And
hey, I've got an idea here.
Yeah.
So how the piece is titled GenerEOS, right? What if we titled it GenerEOS with a 9, right? And we actually sold that on EOS.atomic hub on the EOS chain.
So okay, now you're getting me into troubled waters here, mBlu, because you're only giving me 8 minutes, number 1, and number 2, you're totally throwing me under the bus, because now I got to say shit that I can totally say, but I don't want to say on this channel. So here's another shameless plug with relevance hashtag at the beginning that I forgot to mention. Corey and I had a live stream yesterday, and we kind of came up with this idea that maybe a few of the block producers, GenerEOS, Michael EOS USA, Anders of Any Observation, which runs the Sweden block producer. We're gonna make maybe a world in the Uplift world that rewards people in EOS instead of Wax. And the block producers that I just mentioned, as well as a couple more, potentially EOS Nation, we might actually do this. And so I'm 100% game for that idea of plugging that into that system, if that makes sense to you.
Love it. I'm game.
Yeah.
Let's make it happen. Boom.
Okay, so mBlu, next week maybe, or the week after, I don't know, but let's figure it out. Let's finish this interview on this channel at some point in the future, and because people deserve to hear what you say, and I think we're about third of the way through. That's like kind of good for me because, like, cliffhangers are awesome. Yeah, is there anything you want to say before we exit Limbo?
Gosh, I'm so grateful for you, Jimmy. You're such a beautiful human. I love working with you. I love how your mind works and just what you're doing. So, applause.
Yeah, enough said. And on a personal level, I'm 100% the same. But I can also say that the same thing, for GenerEOS, because like they are, actively donating to like bushfire funds to like put out fires in Australia and like save like some of the most endangered animals on the planet, right? So I like. I'm in a bind a lot of times between two projects, but this is a project and this is a block producer that I work for actively that I'm not in a bind about. And I don't think either party would mind me saying that. So thanks for joining me. I'm Blu, and we will catch you on part 2 of maybe part 2 or maybe even part 3, because like you're a gem and we
thank you. Thank you. Yeah, ongoing series.
Ongoing series, yeah. Let's just make it a thing. I mean, I like, yeah, 100%. All right. Well, what's your tagline outline? You all keep it.
Oh, uplift away. Keep. No, well, I started out saying, hey, stay awesome, right? But that just came out because it just like I don't know, it just slipped out of me. So it's just something I just kept saying. But now I'm just saying, hey, uplift away, man. Why not? Right? Feels good. Who doesn't want to be up, right? So get up and uplift away.
Tune in next time for more on the story. We've got really cool things to tell you about. Digital vinyl, which we haven't talked about, which is like the new thing, and lots more. And then we'll play some more promo videos for you as well. So thanks, and yeah, lift away.
Sweet.